Hello and welcome to Super Great Kids Stories. Wise tales from storytellers around the world, which will make you laugh and sometimes cry. Recommended for ages 5 to 105. I'm Kim and I love stories. The story this week is from Indonesia and it's called The Tiger's Whisker. This is the first of 2 stories this week. The second is a coyote story from the US. Hello, Super Great Kids, and how are you? I wonder if you tried something new this week. It was half-term holiday in the UK, so some people went off travelling. I had my friend Amy Douglas, the storyteller, to stay, and we ate brioche, which is a delicious bread which she brought back from a trip to France. Her daughter was improving her French by going to bakeries every morning. She was allowed to order anything she wanted so long as she could ask for it in French. Now that's a good way of learning a lot of French vocabulary. Our current story theme is animal stories. And the storyteller for the first story this week is Tuup, who's going to tell us a tiger story from Indonesia. Indonesia is a beautiful island nation in Southeast Asia where they have mountains, volcanoes and tigers. Now, just before we get to our story, I have a little game for you. How many countries can you think of? You can get your grown-ups to help you. Do you know there are nearly 200 countries in the world today? That is a lot of countries. I wonder how many you've visited. Some people put a map of the world on their bedroom wall and colour in the countries once they've visited them. So, to help get you started, there's India, where Stickwoman's from, and Russia, where Baba Yaga the witch comes from. See how many countries you can think of while we have a quick word with the grown-ups. Are you ready? Off you go. Hello, Super Great Kids. I'm back. How many countries did you think of? 100? 150? No, just joking. Did you remember the US, where Brer Rabbit comes from? And Spain, where El Pollito, little half-chick, comes from? Oh, and don't forget Ireland, where leprechauns come from. And where does Anansi come from, do you know? He comes from West Africa, a country called Ghana. And, of course, there's Guyana in the Caribbean, where Tuup's family comes from. There are so many brilliant countries. Try testing your grown-ups and seeing how many they can think of. Give yourself a pat on the back if you got more than 5. The story this week isn't scary, but it is aimed at slightly older than 5 or 6. So if you're younger than 6, you might want to listen to our second story this week for younger listeners, which is told by the very talented storyteller Nick Hennessey. It's called Coyote and Bluebird, and it's aimed at age, 3 and above. And now, it's time to welcome our storyteller. Let's give a big hand to Tuup. Are you sitting comfortably? Am I sitting comfortably? Then let the tiger story begin.
Welcome, each and every one, to Super Great Kids Stories. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a woman. This woman was a very sweet woman. She lived with her husband. He had returned from some battle or the other that was raging through the land. And when he returned, the man, he was sad. He was very quiet. She tried everything. She tried to get him to laugh. She tried to cook him his favorite meal. She tried to tell him jokes. In evenings, she would sing songs. She would share with him stories. She would laugh and joke, but nothing gave him joy. His dear, sweet wife, she thought that she could give him the sweet meats that he remembers, but he would not touch any food. She wondered, what could she do to bring back the joy and the mystery and the wonder to her husband? So she went. She went up into the mountains where she knew a hermit, a wise man, lived, a studier of life. There was the wise man in his cave with his fire. She approached him and she said, "Make for me an amulet. Make for me a charm, please." The wise man lifted his eyes and watched the woman and asked, "Why do you come to me? Asking of your charm? Asking of your amulet? What is this?" And she explained to him, her husband, he was sad. He was very quiet. And how maybe a charm or amulet may be able to ward off some evil eye, so that my husband would have his joy and his happiness once again. And the wise old man lifted his eyes, looked at the woman once again, and said, "Why does the world think that things can be cured with amulets and charms?" And the woman said, "I do not ask you what you think. I just ask if you can make for me an amulet or a charm. Can you do it or can you not?" "Okay, said the man, okay." And he thought for a long while. Then he lifted his eyes again and looked at the woman, saying, "I can make what you require, but what I need is a whisker from a live, living tiger." "A whisker from a live, living tiger?" she asked. "How am I going to get that?" "Ah," says the wise man, "it's you who want the amulet, it's you who wants the charm, so you must bring me the live, living whisker from a live, living tiger. If you cannot do this, then I cannot make what you request." The woman, she left the cave. She made her way back down into her village, and she thought for a long while how was she going to achieve this task. She heard that on the opposite side of the village, high up in the mountains, there was a tiger's lair. The woman, late in the night, she cooked for herself a lovely stew. While everyone slept, she put the stew into a calabash bowl. She made her way out of the village towards the mountain where she knew that the tiger's lair was. Then she stopped at a distance from the entrance of the tiger's lair. But then she began to sing, "Tiger, tiger, come from the cave. I wish to take a whisker from you. Tiger, tiger, come from the cave. I wish to take a whisker from you." She sang her song all night long, and before the dawn broke in the sky, she made her way back down to her village. She threw the stew out to the pigs or to the cows or to the wild dogs, and she went about her day. But every night she would make her stew, place it in the calabash, find her way on the road towards the tiger's lair, but standing very far off. But each night she would make 1 or 2 steps just that little bit closer. And each night she would sing her song, "Tiger, tiger, come from the cave. I wish to take a whisker from you." Tiger, tiger, come from the cave. I wish to take a whisker from you. Before the dawn broke, she would leave and make her way back down into her village, throwing out the stew once again to the pigs or the wild dogs. And night after night, she made her stew and returned back to the road of the tiger's lair. And each and every single night, she would make a step closer towards the tiger's lair. Sometimes, on some moonlit nights, that tiger would stick its head out from its cave, look down the lane, and see the woman. And the woman would be stood there singing, "Tiger, tiger, come from the cave. I wish to take a whisker from you." The tiger retreated back into the cave, and she thought to herself that she had lived another night, survived another night. And so, each night, she would stand just a little bit closer to the mouth of the tiger's lair. By this time, a month had passed, and by the end of that month, the woman found herself standing at the mouth of that tiger's lair, the mouth of the cave. She looked into that dark, fathomless blackness, and she sang, "Tiger, tiger, tiger, come, come from the cave, cave, cave. I wish to take a whisker from you. Tiger, 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 come, come from the cave, cave, cave. I wish to take a whisker from you. That was the echo that came back to her. And that very same night, she saw the tiger with its yellow, bright eyes approaching, with its twitching whiskers right and left, and its sharp, jagged teeth for a smile. And she, not wishing to flinch, but her heart beating against her chest, she said in a mumble of words, "Tiger, please, I have come each and every night. I have made for you a stew. Will you not taste my stew? I mean you no harm. I promise. Will you not taste my stew?" The tiger could smell the delicious, fragrant smell of her stew. And very curious, the tiger approached, and she, holding her calabash bowl down low, saw that the tiger smelt the stew, and then with his dry, rough tongue started to lap. "Ah," she said. "Ah, you are kind. Ah, you enjoy my stew," she said. "Eat, eat. I'm so happy. Ah, we have built up a trust, haven't we? You know I do not mean you any harm, and now I know that you mean me no harm at all. Eat, eat your fill." The tiger looked at her. She looked into the eyes of that tiger and said, "I need to ask you. I need to ask that I may take just one whisker, just one whisker. May I ask you for this whisker?" The tiger's eyes became more gentle. His smile no longer revealed his jagged teeth. And the tiger seemed to welcome her request. She took hold of that coarse, thick whisker, and she pulled it from the tiger's snout as it winced and growled. There, in between her fingers, was the whisker from a live, living tiger. She could not believe it. She thanked the tiger. She turned around. She made her way back down and through her village to the opposite side. She made her way high up into the mountains, into the cave where the wise man sat. There, she said, there it is. I have a whisker from a live, living tiger. Please, make for me my amulet. Make for me my charm, please. The wise man took the thick tiger's whisker in between his own fingers and looked at it. He studied it. He could see that the end of the whisker still had the follicle attached. The wise man said, "Yes, this seems to be a whisker from a live, living tiger, and you have accomplished your task. This is good. No problem." The woman, she was so happy, but then her happiness turned to horror, for she saw that the wise man threw the live, living whisker into the fire as it singed and was consumed by the flame. Why would you do such a thing? That tiger's whisker was for my charm, my amulet, so that my husband would have his joy and his happiness once again. Why would you do such a thing? And the wise man looked at her and asked, How were you able to achieve such a thing which I myself could not? You got a whisker from a live, living tiger, a man-beast. How did you do this? She revealed her story, how it had taken her time to build up the trust from the tiger on the road leading towards the tiger's lair, how she made a step each and every single night, how she sang her song, how she and the tiger now were one. And the wise man said, "People always think that a charm or an amulet can do things, but it cannot. Don't you understand?" said the wise man. "You are the charm. You have the power. It is within you." "Listen," said the wise man. "If you can overcome a man-eating beast, imagine what your husband has seen. He has seen some very distressing things, and he does not wish to remember all the things which he has seen. But with your love, and with your patience, and with your tenderness, you will be able to apply yourself as you have been able to win over a man-eating beast. Go back to your village, and with time, and with patience, and with love, you will win back the heart and the joy of your husband." And with that, the woman left the wise old man up in his cave, and she knew that she was the charm, and she was the amulet.
Oh, thank you, Tuup, for that moving story. That woman was very brave and very patient. I'm not sure if I'd have had the courage or the determination to go to a tiger's cave every single night for a month. I'd like to think that with those skills, she might be able to help her husband feel a bit better too. Now, lots of you have joined our Owlets Club recently, so it's time to dig deep into our bag of happies and fly around the world with Story Owl to say thank you and welcome to some of you new owlets. Ooh, 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 ooh. So Let's begin in New York State, in the US, to greet Paul Arthur, who turns 6 this week. He's listening in New Paltz, and his favourite story is The Ghost of the Bloody Finger. Welcome to the club, Paul Arthur. Let's flip-flap-fly now across to Rhode Island to say hello to Owlets, Harper and Finley, who are both turning 9. And to their sisters, Bayla and Sunny. Their uncle has gifted them membership of the Owlets Club. Oh, that's very kind. And heading to the sunny south in Tennessee in the US next, let's greet Owlets and long-term listeners Jack, who is 7, and Ione, who is 5. They especially like Baba Yaga and Juliana Marine's stories, The Bilingual Mouse and The Devil and the Boy Who Knew How to Read. And heading west to Mill Valley, California now to greet Owlets 10-year-old Alice and Lulu, who turns 6 in March. They listen most days before bed. Alice's favourite story is Eggshell Soup from Ireland, and Lulu's is The Rainbird from Southern Africa. Good choices. And staying in California, let's greet Owlet Maverick, who is 6 and is listening in Oakland. Maverick listens on the long ride to Jiu-Jitsu. Oh, that sounds like an exciting sport. And hello to Owlets CJ, who is 8, and Carter, who is 5. They listen in the car and on the way home from school and from their Nana's house. They especially love the scary story, Mabel and Black Annis, and Nancy and the hot pepper soup, and the hairy toe. And in fact, they like all super great scary stories. And let's fly across to Europe now to sunny Lisbon in Portugal to greet Owlets Oscar, who is 6, and Lou, who is almost 4. The whole family has been listening for years. They love stories by Kate Corkery, Jason Buck and Tuup, and they've made suggestions for Brazilian stories too. Oh, did you know we have a Brazilian bonus story this week from Kalimar Maya, who's living in the US. It's about a rainforest creature called Curupira, who is a mythical creature who guards the forest. Do look out for that one if you're an owlet. And let's fly now to France, to snowy Chamonix in the Alps, to say hello to Owlet Ada, who is 6, and her little sister Elfie. Ada's town lies near the foot of Mont Blanc, the tallest mountain in the Alps. How exciting! The first story Ada listened to was Rumpelstiltskin, the favourite story of Pops, her granddad. So they listened to it together. Lovely. And across the channel next to Cambridgeshire in the UK to greet 4-year-old Owlet Sophie and her sister Beatrix, who is 14 months. Sophie's been listening since she was 2, half her life. And her favourites are The Girl Who Wished for Wings, The Ghost of the Bloody Finger, and Ruby Red Lips. And let's hop west to Leighton Buzzard, also in the UK, to say hello to Carmen, who'll be 7 in a few days' time. Carmen became an owlet as a special birthday present. Her favourite stories are the Baba Yaga stories, and she even chose to dress up as Baba Yaga for Halloween. Ah, what fun! Story Owl got me some Baba Yaga socks for Christmas. Maybe I should wear them for Halloween. And one of our listeners, Tuup, will be celebrating Tibetan New Year this week with his children Jigme and his sister Kipar. Jigme is 8 and Kipar is 6. I do hope you have a very good time and a happy new year. That's it for this week. More Owlet welcomes next week. Thanks for your patience waiting for your name to be mentioned. Our nest is a flurry of feathers and hungry owlets at the moment. And you've been sending in some marvellous pictures to Story Owl this week. There are some great Anansi drawings and a very glamorous Puss in Boots, But our pick of the week, super great artist, goes to Delaney, who is 6 and lives in Pennsylvania in the US. She sent in a drawing of ruby red lips and long red fingernails. What a great picture, with a face framed by dark hair, red lips and very long fingernails scraping down the window pane. Ooh, I wonder if you can tell that story, Delaney. But do try not to terrify your friends and grown-ups if you can. If you'd like to send us a picture of your favourite story, or of this week's story with the woman pulling out the tiger's whisker, send us your picture as a JPEG attachment if possible via our website at supergreatkidstories.com, and we can share your art with other story lovers on our Facebook page, facebook.com/supergreatkidstories, and on our Instagram art gallery at supergreatkids_art. And thanks to all of you who are subscribing to our podcast. It's only £3 a month, which is less than $4, to get advert-free and access to all the scary stories. And if you pay for the next tier up, you'll get advert-free plus at least 50 bonus stories and at least 30 super great scary stories. Plus, you'll get access to our Super Great Kids Stories Express with short introductions, no adverts, purely story. Very good for listening to stories back to back. And did you know you can now gift a Patreon membership? Visit our website for more details at supergreatkidstories.com. And remember, there's another story this week, Coyote and Bluebird, told by the marvellous storyteller Nick Hennessey. And if you're owlets, this is the weekend for your bonuses. Ta-da! A whole glut of stories this week. There's a scary story about ghost pirates and a bonus from Brazil about a rainforest creature, the curupira, who rides around on the back of a wild boar. So look out for those and keep telling your stories and singing your songs. This podcast was produced at Wardour Studios in fabulous Fitzrovia in London.